at Brands Hatch for the latest round of the Thundersaloon series. Can you produce a win after the last two disappointments?
We're hoping so, if everything sticks together. The last two races we've had, there have been small mechanical faults. One was an electrical and the other was a burst fuel pipe, none of which we could plan for. So we're just hoping that everything sticks together today. We're in the right position and hopefully we'll be first across the line.
Vince, you've driven all sorts of racing cars in your time. How does this monster compare?
Oh, it's great. Fantastic motor car. And as I say, we're getting more and more used to the car. Obviously, we haven't done it with no testing at all. And it was ready like 2 days before the first race. So we had to get acclimatised to the car. But now we're beginning to come to sort of terms with it. And it's really very exciting. And it handles extremely well. We really haven't found the limits of it yet.
Apart from the fact it's got 2 more cylinders and another 2 litres, what are the main differences between this and an ordinary Carlton GSI?
Oh, I mean, it looks, obviously, it looks the same, or very similar with the wings and the shape, but obviously the subtle difference is the 5.7 Chevrolet engine, which is fuel injected, and obviously its gearbox, which is very strong, and the axle to cope with the power. Plus, obviously, we've got 20-inch tyres at the rear, and 12 and 14-inch tyres at the front. So, yeah, the subtle difference is, you know, the tyres and the power.
Cleland, you're renowned for throwing things sideways and driving them absolutely flat out everywhere. Can you drive this flat out?
Up until last race at Silverstone, I would have said no. The car it still has to be driven very neatly and tidily, stay off the curbs. But last weekend we had quite a deficit to make up, and I started to throw it around. And it's a very forgiving big car. It's quite heavy, and it doesn't really like being driven sideways, but it's great fun. It's great fun.
Resplendent in its mobile colours, the General Motor Dealer Sport entry of the Vauxhall Carlton V8 comes up to the line. Although externally reminiscent of the new Carlton range, the car features a space frame and of course follows in the line of Big Bertha and Baby Bertha of years gone by. It's Woodman to start the race and Cleland to have the uncomfortable position of watching to see if the big V8 has the legs of the opposition here at Brands Hatch, a tight circuit. And the Opel Manta of Holman, Blackburn and Nick Oatway is part of that opposition, proving so far this year very, very quick indeed. Holman, a very experienced driver, always has conducted himself quickly. The Ford Sierra of Rob Burley and Tim Harvey is next up, with the newly developed engine that Burley has spent so much time and money on. John Devereux shares the top car in the up to 2.5 litre Class B with Swankin, and this could definitely be a teaser in this race. It's very quick and very reliable. Jeff Farmer shares with Bensley the Rover Vitesse, which also could be very much a front runner here. Reliability is what they'll depend on, while last year's Senator in the hands of Stevens and Facey could also be a front runner. As away goes the pace car, and they set off on their warm-up lap. One of the most fascinating features about Thundersaloons racing is that it brings such a differing variety of approaches to the same problem. The quickest saloon car that one can devise. The green flag is out. We wait for reds to turn to green. The race is on. And straight away, the big V8 Carlton accelerates into the lead. But second place man with the Manta there, Holman Blackburn, a car that only made its debut a week or two back, could very much be the force to be reckoned with the BMW well up as well. Down the hill, and Holman Blackburn looking for a way past Woodman, but Woodman keeping him at bay. The differing lines of the two cars we see as through on the inside comes Blackburn. Blackburn with the Manta, proving that the Manta developed vehicle is currently just as quick as anything about. There's Burley in 4th place and the Rover, the Escort well up there as well. The rest of the field, there's number 18, and that looks very much to me like Jerry Marshall at the wheel of the Sierra Cosworth. It is thundering down into Paddock Bend. A wide line there from the previous Senator. Through goes the flat V8 sounding Manta in the lead down the hill. 3rd place still, the BMW hanging on for all he's worth. Brian Chatfield's car, which has such a tremendous racing history behind it. But currently the gap beginning to open out as the Manta proves that the development of this car, although based on a design much, much older than the Carlton, is quite able to cope with the latest that can be thrown at them from General Motors. And there's a slight stutter there in the engine of the Carlton, which might prove one of the reasons why. The Manta going down the hill as the Carlton comes out. Superb lines of this Mobil-sponsored car. Really looks absolutely beautiful. But there's nothing really currently that Bill Cleland's men have been able to do to cope with that power up ahead, which is getting away from them. There's Burley, the V6 developed from the Ford V6 engine with the twin cam blocks that came out a year or two ago, but proving itself quite able to cope with the bigger V8s from the United States, which although they develop more torque and power, are in fact slightly heavier and of course are very difficult to get to run really properly. Require quite a lot of maintenance, quite a lot of bits, and even though we spend a lot of time over here dealing with V8 engines in Formula 5000, it would seem that they still present something of a problem in British races, that you don't very often come across one that runs really sweetly for very long. Definitely a misfire in that second place car with Vince Woodman aboard at the moment, and it's not picking up as it should as they go down the straight. Into paddock, through on the inside there of Forenza, coming out and holding on to its position. And there, number 4, is Rod Burley, who's closing in a little bit on the Carlton, which is definitely slowing. The Manta up ahead now, going well, going hard, and pulling out a respectable lead. All that much more important, of course, in a race with designed, planned pit stops as these races have, where they have a change of driver. And the bigger advantage that he can build up now, the greater is Nick Oatway going to feel happy about the whole matter when he comes out to drive his stint in the car a little bit later on in the race. But further back, that problem with the Carlton is not getting any better. Past him has come the Rover of Barry Barnes, and that misfire is definitely slowing the car. It's barely staying with the Rover, looking for a way on the inside of it there, but here's Rod Burley, and he's crawling down the hill, and Burley is going to pass him. Burley is through and past, and even some of the cars that he's lapped are going past Vince Woodman now, who must surely be destined to come into the pits with that bad misfire, which has really spoiled any chance he had of success. He's limping around the circuit, and you can clearly hear that misfire, and he heads for the pit road now. Well, they might make this their scheduled stop, change driver, put in John Cleland. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, out in front, no doubt at all that Blackburn is pulling further and further away with the Manta. The Manta well and truly in charge. The car that was so dominant in rallying, in Russell Brooks's hands, of course. This car took him to innumerable national championship victories, and also Jimmy McRae, and now proving its point out on the circuit, albeit with much wider tyres, and we see it in rally form and the big V8 engine as well. This is last year's Senator coming out of the pits, the car that was right at the front last year, and is up now to 3rd place today. Not right on the pace with the very front runners, but certainly on reliability alone able to stay there. As out goes the escort, we look now too for the leader not very far away. Nick Oatway waits for Holman Blackburn to bring in the car. Here he comes, and let's see just how quick they are. Holman's belts are off already. Nick is in the car. How quickly can he strap himself in with the aid of the mechanic there? And that's very, very quick. And already the engine running, and he's away. That was no more than around about a 10-second stop. And meanwhile, it allowed Rod Burley to inherit the lead because he had yet to make his pit stop. But now Oatway can charge after him, safe in the knowledge that having made his stop, once Burley takes his car in for Harvey to take over, there's a very fair chance he's going to be able to maintain his lead. Still got the indicator flashing from when he went into the pits, but I don't suppose that's worrying him. And the Manta streaking on towards victory, really going beautifully and really showing the way home here in this Shell Oil's Thundersaloon Championship race at the General Motors Day at Brands Hatch. The tail getting a bit out of line there, but nicely controlled as he comes streaking past the pits. Dives down, paddock bend, brakes hard on, into paddock. A late apex here, and the power hard on up the hill. Now brake change down. Druids gently on the throttle, out comes the tail. And here's Rod Burley's car, and that is Harvey, so he has made his pit stop. He is now in second place, and this is the leader. The pit stops are over, and very dominant driving here by this team of Holman, Blackburn and Nick Oatway with the Manta, who now are firmly in the lead. They really are going quicker and quicker, and looking very much as if they're going to take an awful lot of catching. They've got the fastest lap to their credit as well, of 48.8 and 88.79 miles per hour. Down through the hairpin for the last time, through Graham Hill, along the straight, into and out of Surtees, and this ever-ending, or never-ending rather, right-hander. It goes on forever this year, driving around the circuit, and then out on this all-too-straight bit, past the pits. Here's the checkered flag. It's a win for the Manta. So, some disappointment here in General Motors' heart, seeing the Carlton lose, but the Manta picks up the pieces and takes victory here at Brands Hatch. So here's the presentation to Holman, Blackburn, and here's the results. Blackburn and Oatway first, Burley and Harvey, Mensley and Farmer, Stevens and Facey, 2 General Motors cars in the first 4. So we now asked Holman if he enjoyed his victory here at Brands Hatch.
Yes, we are very pleased. We had our inaugural win, but it was we were grateful to receive it because the Carlton expired. The Carlton expired this time, but I think we'd have given a good run anyway.
You certainly seem to have the legs of it in the early stages of the race. What is it that you've done to the Manta 400 that enables it to take on the Carlton?
We've worked very hard on the traction of the car, and we think that although it might not have as much power, it's got better traction.
So at a place like Brands, short-circuit Brands, obviously handling is at a premium.
Yes, indeed.
But what about at the quicker circuits? Are you still going to be able to give it a run?
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. This is only race 3, so we'll see.